is now time for the Jerry Jones Show on your home of America's team and Texas Rangers playoff baseball. It's 105.3 The Fan, and Jerry is brought to you by Ford. They are the best in Texas. Sean Shreve, RJ Choppy, and Bobby Bell with you. Good morning, Jerry. How are you?
Hey, Sean, RJ, Bobby. It's good to be here.
Little better feeling than last week at this time, isn't it?
Oh, man. I just can't believe it, that much difference. I know I'm different, but my jokes are just funnier when we have a big weekend like we had. But seriously, it does feel good. And I must tell you, I was so apprehensive going into that game, have such respect for the Patriots and really have respect for them as we sit. And I really was almost like we were playing our first game. Let's see where we are, what we got. And, boy, we had some guys really come through, play, thought the coaches did an outstanding job.
Jerry, you guys, even though you haven't, haven't been the Chiefs winning Super Bowls like left and right, you guys blow teams out at home a lot more frequently than the rest of the league does, especially the teams that are not nearly as good as you. What do you think the number one reason for that is? Well,
I like our defense now. We're hard to handle defensively, and when we do get up, where we can really, if you will, get turnovers. And again, this is just almost obvious that it works this way. But when we step out there, we took that ball. We were planning to take the ball, planning to from the get-go. Mike had told me earlier that we were going to do a fake kick, and I'm going to do that very early. All of those things. Well, when you teams thinking about that, and then you do execute it, it lifts you up, just like it does a fan. And when you get the ball early to receivers, usually I've never heard of one that isn't said at some time, let's get him going early, hope he'll get some catches early, and when he does, he just has a better day. So I think it's how you start it. We had a good week of practice. We don't need to worry about having a good week this week. We'll have a good week of practice. So I think all of that fits in.
Jerry, have you seen, or would it stun you to hear that after that game, people are sitting there trying to put Bill Belichick on a little hot seat?
Well, I know that without specifically addressing Bill Belichick, I know that when you don't win, when you really, no matter if it's expected, then certainly you start hearing and people start thinking, and we're all only human, and our fans are human. And, boy, when that score doesn't turn out right, you get to looking at all of the negatives and emphasizing them. And that's where that comes from, and I expect it.
Jerry Jones here on 105.3 The Fan. Jerry, what type of offensive changes did you see in terms of maybe going downfield a little bit more, opening things up a tiny bit? Dak was, I thought, fantastic, very aggressive to start. What were some of the offensive changes that you saw from Coach McCarthy?
Well, I thought we did a really better job than maybe I could have thought we could do. But I thought we protected Dak really well. I had a lot of respect for their pass rush. But more importantly, I thought Dak was just really on. And I think that we could expect that type of execution from Dak and the receivers as we go forward. I don't think that was an aberration. And the more we are able to affect that passing game and get those guys, especially on what I call crossing routes, but the more we can get that done, then it'll open up our vertical even more so. And, of course, we've got guys that I think certainly after the other day, you see what some of these receivers can do for us. And really, I don't think we have even come close to really seeing what Cooks can do for us. So I'm excited about what's in the future from those receivers. We got a group of tight ends. I thought McCune's block downfield to run downfield to recover that football was one of the most impressive plays that I've seen in a long time, because he did a good job blocking. Then you would have thought he was running for the last play of his life in the Super Bowl, and he was right there to get that fumble. Now, that's the kind of thing you want from everybody.
Are you at the point where you are officially concerned about the red zone?
No. A matter of fact, you should have it on the front of mind at any time when you think about offense. But do I feel like we've got the players? Do I feel like we've got the plays to do better with higher? I understand why we've missed on a few of those things in the red zone. I'm not as dubious, or I'm not as skeptical of where we will be. Let's start it right against San Francisco. But we've got the stuff to get in the end zone. We got the players, and we've got the stuff. We're getting a lot of practice down there, and let's hope pretty soon that tide turns, and when it does, we'll have a lot more success. I know we will. I'm not that concerned.
Do you think a lot of the issues so far has been, maybe the scheme is different than last year? Last year was 71% inside the red zone getting touchdowns. This year it's 140 now. You think it's scheme that has become the issue there?
Well, I think it's a combination of things, but more importantly, I would put at the top of the list execution. Just the blocking, the picking up your guy, just the nuances of what we were trying to do. And it's across the board. Consequently, I think you're just really fractions away from executing on some of those plays that we haven't heretofore done. I think we're, the old adage, where do you go from here but up? And so, but make no mistake about it, we are going to get better in the red zone. I'll assure you we'll be better in the red zone than we've been. A skeptic could say, well, it doesn't take much to get better. But the facts are that we can get better when it counts. This weekend would be a good place to start. But we've got specific things, specific reasons why on given plays that it hadn't worked out for us. So when you know what you're doing that can be improved on, it makes you feel better.
Talking with Cowboys owner and general manager Jerry Jones here on 105 Through the Fan. Jerry, in terms of that red zone, CeeDee Lamb had said last week he was asked about how some of those things could be fixed, and he said, let me touch the rock and we'll get in the end zone. He had the touchdown there against New England this past week. He's somebody who's really embraced this number one receiver role and being the top guy. Have you guys continued any sort of discussions into the season about his contract situation, or is that something that you guys have put on the shelf until the year's over?
Neither. It's there. And as you know, these all of our players for almost 100% have representation. And so those conversations, parts of them, aspects of them, could be going on. They might not be going on. But it's something that right now, frankly, our minds are on getting ready to go out here and play San Francisco, and I'm sure that's where his mind is as well. So that's a long-winded answer. The real world is that all agreements are going on in your mind all the time. And if you saw some scratching of me this morning before I got on the show, you'd see 20 things that I've written down. Some of them may involve player contracts. But so I'm noodling it all the time. And when I say noodle, when I noodle something relative to the Cowboys, it's got a good chance of having action on it. And so my point is, all of our contracts, I was in New York last week and sitting down visiting with several people, and it gave rise to me look at a certain perspective with our team that should have been being thought about. Well, my point is, that's not idle time. We're not playing fantasy football here. And so you could ask me, are those in your thoughts, and what does that mean? It is in my thoughts. His contract is in my thoughts. His future contract is. But in a manner of speaking, all of them are.
Jerry, you referenced ahead to this weekend against San Francisco, a big game, obviously, and one where you would hope to have Tyron Smith back as he's missed the last couple of games. What do you expect in terms of his availability? And as much as he's been a big part of what you guys have done over the last decade, is there a point where his availability issues start to supersede the talent?
Well, it's not at that point at all. And if he's available, it would be iffy, but he could be. And certainly he's a very valuable part of this year.
Jerry,
and I would have perceived the future as his agreement with him dictates. But no, he's at this morning. You need to think about him playing, and if he doesn't, then we're well prepared. If he's not,
a couple other injuries we're watching this week: Micah Parsons, Zach Martin. Do you feel comfortable about their availability this weekend?
I do. Yes, we'll practice. I'm not so sure we'll alter anything we would have done anyway, especially on a veteran like Zach.
Jerry, I got one little small gripe I promised I would ask you before we move on to San Fran. Why is Micah in at the end of these blowouts? You're going to give all of us a heart attack. Can you please tell someone to get Micah off the field at the end of these games that have already been decided?
Well, you've got a good point, and it's certainly the issue is there, is in front of when do you make those adjustments in those games. I just am so awed by the fact, frankly I am, that we've had 3 games that we've ended up with that kind of margin at the end of the game. Most of these games are nip and tuck, and a field goal can decide them. So, but I've got that, and everybody's got it, and it's front of mind. I want everybody to know, too, we've got a quarterback sneak in there, too. And that's a discretionary thing. But they didn't line up on the center of our – weren't on our center on short yardage. And do we have the capability of sneaking it right there if we decide to? Very much. Very much. It's one of our options.
Jerry Jones.
And it's already in the game.
Jerry Jones.
It's just a question of whether or not Dak calls it or not.
Jerry is
Stop false starting, Choppy.
Right?
Stop false starting.
Do you look at San Fran as a gauge, a test to see where you guys are, or do you not look at it like that and it's just another game?
No, I don't at all look at it as that. I look at it as we know they're one of, if not the teams that are playing the best right now, and they're solid in their personnel, so they're one of the best teams. And a win against them would be inspiring, and it would be substantive. So it's what it is. And we are going to have to go by them beginning Monday and Sunday, I think. But we're going to have to go by them Sunday. And if we have aspirations, I think we'll have to go by them again later in the year.
Jerry, obviously that's a team that has eliminated you guys the last 2 years. It's become a little tense at times. You know, last year they were messing with your kicker during pregame, and it gets a little chippy. Dak Prescott has seemed frustrated when thinking back on those games. I know J-Ron Kearse has talked very emotionally about how those games have ended. It seems to really weigh on the guys. When you look at how do you balance, I guess, your players being motivated and focused and pushed to level up against a certain team versus potentially being distracted by what that team has done to them?
Well, I think the awareness of the caliber of your opponent to formalize the statement is an assumed given. You not only know the people that are going to be in front of you if you're a player, but you also know the caliber of the team. If you didn't know it or just maybe hadn't been keeping up with it, by the time you're through with these next few days, it will thoroughly be indoctrinated in you what San Francisco is. And make no mistake about it, they're a tremendous team, outstanding defense, and will challenge us as much as anybody that, frankly, we've been challenged with this year or any other year. So they've certainly got that. Frankly, we need to worry about execution and need to worry about ourselves and not so much about what they are, because they are right now probably the most likely team to go in the Super Bowl. And but in order for them to get there, they've got to go by us, hopefully 2 times, if that's the way it falls in the playoffs. And we're in the playoffs, of course. But the bottom line is that you're playing the best. This is certainly you don't need the game to tell you that you're playing the best, but you need the game to show you how you stack up against the best. That play that McCune made to go down and run all the way after he'd made his block and go all the way down and recover that fumble, we need to have all of our players playing like that and running that far down for the ball. And going in the end zone, I'll never forget when I've seen teams go all the way to the end zone, maybe 40 yards from the line of scrimmage, and jump up and down and hoist the score on their shoulders or pat him or congratulate him, whatever's the case. My point is that kind of collegiate, pure enthusiasm or hustle is what you're going to have to do to beat a team like San Francisco.
Jerry Jones here on The Fan. Jerry, how do you think you guys stack up differently or better with San Fran compared to the past 2 years?
I like our defense. I think we're playing better than we've played, and we've been playing some pretty good defense last few years. But I like our defense, and frankly, this is the best I've felt about our offense this year, certainly during training camp or any time. And so I think if we will do what we can do the best, and that is maximize what we're doing with Dak and execute. And we were able to execute the other day. They were letting us do some stuff out there on those corners that really gave us some wind. And we're going to need some wind early with San Francisco. And but there's let me back up. There's no reason physically, no reason scheme-wise that we shouldn't go out there and play well enough to win a football game.
Jerry, when you talk about getting the most out of Dak there for this game and just for the season moving forward, one of the trends we've seen in the first 4 weeks of the year is Dak is really not working the ball in the middle of the field. It's definitely been more outside the hashes to each sideline. Is that just what the defense has presented, or is that just a conscious approach with this scheme is to keep Dak out of the middle of the field?
I'll start with that's what the defenses are dictating, but also he's great at it. He's got arm strength's one of his best things. And, boy, he throws that ball good and crisp to the outside, as well as a downfield pass. Inside, I immediately go to really coordinating with what that defense is doing between the receiver and Dak. And so you probably have not seen us do as much in there because we haven't needed to do as much in there. And and there's no question that it's riskier in the middle there when you're throwing the ball. And so, again, those are going to be quicker throws in this scheme. It'll be involved certainly our slot guys as well as tight ends. So I think all of that's coming. I think we'll, by the end of the time we get here a couple of months down the road, we will have seen seriously more inside throws.
Jerry Jones on the home of the Cowboys and Rangers, 105 through the Fan. Are you setting up the popcorn and a hot dog for some Rangers playoff baseball today?
I'm excited for the Rangers. So excited. And they're keeping us on the edge of our seats, and that's just great. I know that baseball fans. I've often said this: baseball was my true love. I played it and got to play a lot of it, and just some of the fondest times of my life have been in baseball. That's carried over to here in Dallas. I'm quite a Ranger fan, and boy, hopefully they'll get in here and get some good pitching and get on here to Dallas so we can all see them on the field.
Last one, Jerry. The Powerball is at $1.2 billion. When is the last time Jerry Jones has played the lottery? And would you pick your own numbers or just have the machine pick?
Well, no, I have and do play the lottery, and usually if I'm going through a place where it's sold right there, it's point of mind or it's point of impulse, so to speak. But I am a big fan of our lottery. The main reason I'm a big fan of it is what it does for education. Mm-hmm. And it really is a major contributing to our education. But the Cowboys are real big in the lottery, and I spend time talking to people with the lottery about showing the guys where to keep the Cowboy lottery ticket front and center by the cash register so that people will participate in the lottery more, and I can see them on draft day.
Jerry, thank you so much for the time. We cannot wait. The whole world is anticipating a heavyweight fight. Let's be talking about a victory next week.
Well, and it's beautiful setting out there beneath that Golden Gate Bridge. Just what I had in mind when I was growing up.
Daggone right. Thank you, sir.
Not quite. I was at, we've got 2-3 bridges there around Little Rock. And I was working to put a sign for a guy running for office. My father was running for state representative. Well, I got out and put 2 big NGL natural gas tanks and floated them to put a sign on there for his candidacy, Pat Jones for representative. I got a couple of buddies of mine. We went out in the middle of that old muddy river. It was dirty, too. The whole sewage of central Arkansas went in the river. And we got in the water to put that sign down, and that current hit that, and no one has ever seen it since. And it was about the size of a small mobile home. And that was me still on the bottom hanging on, hollering, "Raise the drawbridge," when they pulled me out. But bottom line, every time I think of San Francisco and that bridge, for some reason I think of hanging on to that sign between those bridges in Little Rock.
That's awesome. Jerry, thank you so much. We appreciate it, and we'll see you Sunday night.